There is a season in life that quietly defeats more people than failure ever does. It isn't the beginning. It isn't the moment everything falls apart. It's the season where you keep showing up, and nothing seems to change. You wake up. You do the work. You tell yourself to be patient. Then another day passes, another week, another month, and the silence starts asking a dangerous question. Is any of this actually worth it? That's the season Daniel found himself in. He was 32 years old. Every weekday, his alarm rang at 6. By 7:30, he was already at work, giving the best hours of his day to a job that paid the bills but never stirred his heart. When evening came, most people were heading home to rest. Daniel was only halfway through his day. He would unlock the door to his small apartment, place his keys on the same wooden table, loosen his tie, and stand quietly in the kitchen while dinner warmed in the microwave. Some nights it was leftover rice. Some nights it was bread and eggs. Whatever was quick. Whatever gave him enough energy to keep going. Because by 8 o'clock he had another appointment. Not with a client. Not with a boss. With a dream that so far had paid him almost nothing. He opened his laptop every single night. He studied. He improved his products. He rewrote descriptions that nobody seemed to read. He answered messages that rarely became sales. He watched tutorials, fixed mistakes, started again, closed the laptop after midnight, then woke up and did it all over again. From the outside, his life looked exactly the same every day. And that was the problem. When people see no visible change, they usually assume no progress is being made. But progress has always had a frustrating habit. It often grows quietly, long before anyone can see it. Daniel didn't know that yet. All he knew was that he had been showing up for months, and the results were still too small to convince anyone, including himself. And without realizing it, he was approaching the most dangerous moment in any journey. Not failure. The moment when quitting begins to sound reasonable. It didn't happen all at once. No one walked up to Daniel and told him to give up. Instead, it happened the way doubt usually does, quietly. One Friday afternoon, a coworker noticed Daniel packing his laptop into his bag. Then he said something he probably forgot a few minutes later.
Still working on that business? Yeah. I admire your persistence. I just hope you're not wasting your time.
It wasn't cruel. It sounded reasonable. And that's what made it dangerous. Because some words don't hurt when you hear them. They hurt later. When you're alone. That night, Daniel opened his laptop as usual. But instead of getting to work, he found himself staring at the screen. His mind wasn't on his business anymore. It was replaying one sentence. I just hope you're not wasting your time. For the first time in months, he stopped looking at what he had learned and started looking only at what he hadn't achieved. No steady stream of customers. No breakthrough. No moment that made him think, this is finally working. Just months of effort that, from where he sat, looked painfully ordinary. There's something our minds do when we're exhausted. We stop measuring progress and start measuring distance. Instead of asking, how far have I come? We ask, why am I still not there? And those are two very different questions. Daniel closed the laptop. Not because he had made the decision to quit, but because, for the first time, he couldn't think of a reason to open it again. Sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't when you fail. It's when continuing no longer feels exciting, and quitting begins to feel sensible. The next evening, the laptop stayed closed. And for the first time, since he had started, Daniel wondered if everyone else had seen something that he had refused to accept. The following Monday, Daniel came home expecting to do what he had done all weekend. Nothing. He walked towards the laptop and sat. Not because he suddenly felt inspired, because he asked himself a question he had been avoiding. If I quit tonight, what exactly am I quitting? The business or the person I was trying to become? He realized something uncomfortable. The business wasn't the only thing growing over the past few months. He had grown too. He knew more than he did 6 months earlier. He solved problems that once confused him. He worked with a discipline he never thought he had. None of those things showed up in his bank account, but they were real. So instead of asking whether the business had changed, he asked a different question. Have I changed? The answer was yes. That night, he opened the laptop, not because he suddenly believed success was around the corner, but because he refused to let one slow season decide the rest of his life. Over the next few weeks, something interesting happened. The work didn't become easier. The progress didn't suddenly speed up. But Daniel stopped looking for proof. Every single day, he focused on getting a little better each time he showed up. A clearer product page, a better conversation with a customer, one mistake corrected, one skill improved. Small things, almost invisible things. That's the strange thing about growth. While you're living through it, it rarely feels dramatic. It feels ordinary, repetitive, sometimes even disappointing. But ordinary days, repeated long enough, have a way of creating extraordinary results that seem sudden to everyone, except the person who lived them. Then, one Wednesday afternoon, something happened. Not something dramatic, not the kind of moment movies are made of. Daniel received an order. Then another 2 days later. A week after that, a customer returned. Not because of an advertisement, not because something suddenly went viral, but because someone had quietly recommended him. Daniel sat back in his chair and smiled. It wasn't the number of sales that caught his attention. It was the realization that they weren't coming from work he had done that week. They were coming from work he had almost abandoned months earlier. That's when it finally made sense. Nothing had been standing still. The roots had been growing where he couldn't see them. We often expect progress to arrive the same day we make the effort. But life rarely works that way. There is almost always a delay between the work you do and the results you finally see. And in that delay, most people convince themselves that nothing is happening. So they stop, not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked potential, but because they mistook silence for failure. Maybe that's why so many dreams disappear, not in moments of disaster, but in ordinary weeks that felt unimportant, weeks that were quietly building the very future they were waiting for. Daniel's journey wasn't changed by one lucky day. It was changed by hundreds of ordinary evenings, when nobody applauded, nobody noticed, and nothing seemed to happen. Looking back, he realized the hardest part had never been the work. It had been believing that invisible progress was still progress. So maybe this story isn't really about Daniel. Maybe it's about you. Maybe you're judging your life by what you can see today, while ignoring everything that's changing underneath. The discipline you're building, the experience you're gaining, the resilience you're developing. Some of the most important chapters of your life will feel painfully ordinary while you're living them, but one day, you'll look back and realize they were the chapters that changed everything. So before you decide that your journey has failed, ask yourself one honest question. Have I truly failed? Or am I simply standing in a season where the roots are still growing? Because a slow season is not the same thing as a failed journey. If this story gave you a new way to see your own journey, I'd love for you to stay with us by subscribing to the Honest Mirror TV. Every week we explore the questions about being human that so many of us carry quietly, and together we search for the truths hidden beneath them. I'll see you in the next story.